Hi guys, here to talk about the movie Alien from LA. (1988's) Alien from LA. Lee, had you seen it before?
No.
I hadn't either, and I'm really surprised I hadn't.
It's weird, right?
Yeah.
What happened to this film?
I don't know. Again, vinegar syndrome brings things to
Yeah,
light
what the
that
fuck?
you would not have known about.
But usually we know about them, and if we don't, you do.
Yeah,
it's crazy that no one, that neither of us was like, oh, there's a fucking...
This is exactly my alley. So I always find you hard to judge if you're going to love or hate something, but I think you knew I liked this one
I had no idea.
So very quickly, within the first 10 minutes, I think in my notes I wrote, I love this movie.
So I like this movie. I think it falls short of some of the ones that I love that are in the same genre that I will get into, because I've concocted a thesis about what the hell's going on here. But there's other movies that I think are comparable to this one that do a better job.
Yes.
But there's not that many of these ones that you need to worry about.
This is in the family of Super Mario Brothers.
That's literally in my notes where I was like, it's like
that's the highest praise I could give a movie,
Brothers.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
But in very specific ways.
Yes.
But yes, I had the same
stuff. If you know, you know.
I would say by the end though, I was kind of like, oh, okay, it's not doing anything interesting, but it has cool sets, cool costumes, cool premise, cool whatever the fuck. Yeah. Lots of stuff that I like is in it, but I see there's a reason why I think certain other films were catapulted into you gotta watch this.
Super pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
So
no, definitely okay though.
Oh yeah.
Not
I give it a hard recommend. If you've seen it or don't care, false over spoilers, and if not, pull out now.
If you need a place to rent content, you better listen. We're Cannibal Video and we eat the competition.
All right, so here we are for the spoilers of Alien from LA. Lee, let me hear them spoiler-filled thoughts.
Yeah, again, it's really cool and I was rooting for it, but I'm not willing to co-sign oh, this is great or something.
It's impossible, isn't it?
Now, it falls off toward the end, but I will say it had me going enough from the beginning that I rolled through the finish line and still happy.
And I was even going to say, it is enchanting in a way.
Either my way or no way.
That had I found it when I was 4 years old, probably would have had a VHS recording of it and watched it a bunch, and I would have been this is my favorite movie, y'all are stupid or something. But coming in now, and especially
understandable,
having done this with other movies, where I'm oh, the caves are real caves, and now I'm well, whatever,
so
everything does. Yeah,
I think that's exactly it. That I appreciate it in a totally different way. So so seeing this as an adult, my thing is oh, this is a B movie from the '80s made by Canon. Okay, and then I'm wait a minute. This looks like an actual archaeologist dig.
Right, Loki? How'd you climb jumpers ever find this mine? You'll never be out of our eyes again!
What the fuck? And things just kept happening where I was what? And then by the time she fell down the bottomless pit thing, I was I love this movie. Yes. What is this?
Oh no, the intro, when the dad is in the temple.
Yeah.
And it's doing Legends of the Hidden Temple, things are sliding and opening up and stuff. I'm oh, I love that so much. Contraptions, ancient temples that have working, and then she does another one when she gets there. Yeah. And now it's balls rolling.
A Rube Goldberg fucking invention.
And it's ridiculous because it relies on the skeletons being there and they weren't part of the plan. I don't care. The point is, that's awesome. This idea that you walk up to, it's Indiana Jones. It's it's all the movies. It's Peter Pan. It's it's amazing. This is amazing.
I was very excited because every location is good. There's no location where I'm they're in a room with black bags. It's all good. I think I had one complaint period with locations the whole time. That time they're fighting in front of a big window, and I'm that's a window to the outside.
Oh, okay, with light coming in. Yeah. So that's at a point in the movie where it's becoming more action.
Yeah.
When it was exploring and betrayal and who can I trust and telling my story and the comedy and the repetition, I was 100% on board.
Yes.
Once it gets more action, then you're saying, things start to show.
There.
But that was a scene where I was wait, no, that looks like that because we live where there's a sun and light just accidentally gets everywhere. No one's paying for random ambient light in the background of your fight scene.
But that's what's cool about 90% of the movie where they don't fuck that up. It's all red lights and methane fire and weird shit where I'm okay, this is interesting.
It makes every scene feel like a little more interesting.
Yeah.
There's a scene where she's like you know the old scene when someone's watching news coverage and they're like, this is the most wanted person. It's like her fucking face. It like cuts to her and a bunch of like peasants or whatever, but everything's blue and weird there because she's in like a blue part of the city or something.
Yeah.
It has a neat little, because the picture's all like orange and like looks normal or whatever, and then it cuts to her same face going like, oh no, and almost like her teeth and eyes are like glowing because it's like this weird light source.
It's you! I won! She's mine!
That's like unnatural and gross, and you're like, yes! Okay.
It's like, so there's certain things that I think could have heightened this up for me and made it a little bit better. Like, they keep calling her this big-boned girl.
What the fuck is that?
I'm looking for a girl with big bones.
I read something in the IMDb that said Kathy Ireland's her first movie, and she got the movie because she was 5'10", like a tall girl. And I think the plan originally was for everyone in the movie to be short.
That's what,
And for like people that are like above, like are able to grow, and like you know, through evolution, people are smaller because they're underground.
You know, you're underground. If you tried to grow, you'd bonk your head so they don't grow.
And I thought they were illustrating this when she gets into the car and it flips over. I was like, oh, Earthlings, humans, are heavy and big, and people down here are these like light, hollow bird animals or something.
Yeah.
But that just seemed to be an accident or something.
No,
I don't know why that was in
paper
there.
over that. It means nothing.
Yeah, it meant nothing.
There's a lot that means nothing, which is like a problem or whatever. But yeah, I was looking for some more stuff because I'm over here Googling Kathy Ireland voice, Kathy Ireland height, Kathy Ireland.
Voice, that was a
whatever the fuck.
decision.
They might still live at the center of the earth.
Because you can even see in the description on the back of the box, it's like, this girl with a squeaky voice and a
Yeah.
blah, blah. I'm like, okay, that's a choice.
All that shit's in the fucking synopsis.
Yeah.
As if that's a thing. And I'm like, okay, brief departure. I remember Kathy Ireland as being like a pre-internet meme. She was like an influencer before the internet existed.
She says it's the official beer of Ireland. They all turn and we say, what? And she says,
Kathy Ireland.
there it is.
Because she was a model, and then she, like, I wasn't like, reading Sports Illustrated or whatever the fuck.
You do kind of have to flirt with a camera a bit. They're those types of pictures.
I was a child. I saw her in like interviews.
You're next to Kathy Ireland. Why does she look familiar? Huh?
And on weird clips of things. I wasn't like I don't know how I knew she existed or something. She's just like a famous hot model person.
I only
Who
know
just
her in
pictures
the way
her.
that like I know Cindy Margolis or whatever
Yeah,
that, where
exactly.
like people on things would say her name and say
Yes.
she's attractive.
Kathy Ireland's first theory of guest star attraction is flawed. We've been out here in bikinis all day and no one's paid any attention to us.
It's
Like
crazy.
I don't think I had any firsthand like, oh, I know her from
Or
this.
someone
or that.
has like a poster or some weird shit like that.
That would be it.
But that's it. There's no.
But yeah, it
and-
would be a sixth grader in a cartoon or in a television show would say like, oh, in my bedroom, oh, my poster of Kathy Ireland, oh no,
Pamela Anderson.
Yeah.
Like it has that.
But at
vibe.
least Pamela Anderson, I'm like, I saw her in a lot of things.
Well-
I can't pull out a thing in my head that I've seen her in.
Okay, because that's what I was getting at. Is like it's so weird that I even knew her, and it even feels like a big deal that she's in this movie because I hadn't seen this movie. How
Yeah.
many other ones is she in? She's in a few comedies.
I don't know.
As like a bit part where I think the bit is it's like Carmen Electra and like Jenny McCarthy and certain people. Them more obnoxious, gross, but that's because the '90s was obnoxious and gross.
Something just starts hanging out.
It wouldn't be the first time. I'll say that much. You know what?
Whatever, but they would just pick women and be like, you know who this is, and you're like,
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
who? And it was so weird. Now they just go on Instagram and everyone knows them from there, and it feels more natural.
Yeah.
This was insane that I would have any memories of her. But yes, the whole time I'm like, was that a meme? Was everyone making fun of her voice? If you Google Kathy Ireland voice, you find this weird anecdote where she is like, I couldn't even order a pizza. They would, they'd be like, oh, let me speak to your parents, little girl. And I'm like, that did not happen. Supermodel Kathy Ireland was never, at no point was she fucking ordering a pizza. She started modeling at like 12. She was never ordering a pizza. They made that up just to talk about her voice, just like you would today with some fake internet shit.
This exercise can be broken up into segments, and you can do a bit at a time and gradually work your way up to doing it all the way through.
Sorry. The point is, it's wild that she's in this movie.
No, it is.
It's wild that they've chosen to make the movie about her having big bones and a high, annoying voice or whatever.
The boyfriend that dumps her like in the first scene with her, pretty
Yes.
much. I was like, oh man, that guy's brutal. But on point about the voice.
You dress like a nerd, you walk like a clod, and your voice gives me a headache. Is that enough?
Like that was something
Okay.
I like thought.
No, and like her voice is whatever, but the whole time I'm like, is that just how her voice sounded? What's going on?
Yeah, I don't know enough about her.
Like, I don't fucking know.
But
Is that
based
a
on
thing?
it being on the box, I'm like, that would be really weird to say like of your lead actress. Oh, our lead actress
Yeah.
with a fucked up voice. Let me put that on the fucking box.
Yeah.
Unless that's a choice to have her do that.
Like Moonwalker doesn't say, a dude with horrifying plastic surgery runs around with some kids and turns into a car. Spoilers. Like, it doesn't fucking know, right? That's
very
insane. That
strange.
would be insane to do. And that's so weird or whatever.
Something I thought was weird was how they approached the surface. Like having them say like people from the surface, if they know there is a surface, that's weird.
The sun? The stars? And now the beach.
Lay off the surface world stuff.
Like, I think what it should have been was trying to explain the concept of the surface. Be like, what do you mean? Oh, you're from another town. No, I'm from the surface. What does that mean? They shouldn't have a word for it.
Right.
Because it should be like, well, I'm somewhere where there is no top. There's no top?
Well, how does the air stay in?
Like something.
Like they would have dumb questions like that. They should have cut to a teacher being like, and we all know the surface is fake because what would keep the air in? What would keep the stuff?
But what doesn't make
It would
sense
be
too
something
is
like
that they are Atlanteans that are aliens. So at some point they came from space.
Thousands of years ago.
But how do you lose? Like yes, I can understand how that becomes the myth of the surface, maybe, and maybe that does explain why they can say the surface and it's not a weird thing. But it felt like there's some loss there.
Listen, the Fraggles nailed this where they call the surf they call it outer space.
An opening has appeared, and I can gaze into outer space. There it lies, strange and mysterious.
So Uncle Traveling Matt was an explorer who would go to outer space, which meant going to the mall in Ohio to fucking see the outer spacelings or whatever the fuck.
It's very strange because not up until like literally the last moment of the movie is there an alien in LA. The name doesn't make any sense at all.
No, from LA. She's from LA.
Oh, okay. You're right. It's from, not in.
What did you mean?
Well, I was like, there's only that alien ever coming to LA till at the end when that guy who saves her somehow ends up back in there.
And that's
You're
not
right.
Even,
From makes
but that's
it all
not
right.
even a big deal. Okay.
Well, it's a big deal because it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah.
She popped up in Africa.
Honey, going to Zimbo ain't like going to the beach. It's a long journey, and you never know what might happen.
He would have popped up either you're saying, I have two paths here. Hang on. Either you're saying he popped up in Africa and he got there. Or honestly, that they popped up in her actual house because when she looks over, their fucking thing is there. And I'm like, what? What are you telling me? There's something that doesn't make sense, and I don't know where it fell apart, but something there is ludicrous.
It wasn't a dream.
Dream come true.
We have to go back and then go back again. But first let's go back to when she falls in the hole.
Okay.
Right? So by now, for reasons I'm not going to mention yet, I know she's going to break her glasses and she's going to have a glow up.
Please turn over.
My glasses.
This is very obvious, right?
You think there's going to be a reason, though? Like some
Yes,
Atlantean thing saves her,
fixes
her eyes and fixes her voice and makes her not...
Or it turns out she's better the Atlantean air she's Superman. She's
something,
the lack of the yellow sun, whatever. There's some reason she's going to have a glow up, so she falls down, her glasses are off. I'm like, there we go, we got it. We're being really economical about it.
Come on, Velma, you can do it.
Then she has this whole interaction with a guy that sounds like he has an Australian accent.
Everyone that's Atlantean is Australian.
Thanks a lot for helping me out. Let's see you later.
Hey, wait a minute! You owe me, don't you?
but because of the clumsy screenplay, I've forgotten that she was, that she drilled down from Africa.
Okay.
But regardless, it could have been from anywhere. But in my head, she was drilling down from California, and this other guy was drilling from Australia, and she either overshot the center or this guy made it to the center with her, and that guy is now talking to some Atlanteans who he thinks are just rival Australian miners, and he's like, "Oh, you get my claim out of here, you old sods, get the fuck whatever, y'all trying to steal my claim."
Tell us where the main vein is! No. Tell us! No.
I had to go to the Australian, and I thought the whole thing was going to be she's a fish out of water with a like fish.
Another fish.
Who's like out of water but has mining, like
smart. He knows what he's
equipment.
doing, yeah.
And he's like, "What are you talking about? No, it's just them." It's like, "No, they're aliens." And he's like, "What do you mean?" And like he shows her around.
At what point did you realize he was an alien?
Earlier when you were talking.
Okay.
No. No, like very, very quickly, because then everything
he does
goes
have
crazy or
connections
whatever.
and that, yeah.
But the whole time I was thinking it was something interesting like that. But yes, they're just Australian down there. They're just people. They don't even look different. Some of them look like elves, like the high elves from Bright or something.
They make mention of like trolls
but
and this
that's
and that,
fake
and I was like,
too.
wait a minute, what does that mean?
What's that?
What it looks like, a troll mule.
Can we get more of that?
Because the love interest who shows up in Malibu thinks he's a troll and he thinks she's a troll.
We do a little trolling. It's called We Do a Little Trolling.
Troll is okay. Pause. Troll is a class in this Atlantean society.
Yeah.
Because the androgynous general with the eye patch.
They're here to enslave us. Make trolls out of us.
Says
I said General Ziggy Stardust.
Yes, they say something like, they're going to make trolls of all of us. We're going to be enslaved. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Because the whole time people are referring to trolls, and I'm expecting to see tusks or some shit happening or something, and everyone just looks like a person with weird things going on. And I'm like, what are you doing? They look like the people who are like digging the Stargate in like a lot of scenes.
Yeah,
it's just random.
Well,
people.
that's what I was like. I eventually came to the conclusion. I'm like, okay, the people that wear tan, they're trolls because they don't have makeup, they're poverty, whatever.
Yes.
I was like, okay, there you go.
The lower class, the like underclass, but the upper class people look like high elves. They have weird sideburns and they have weird skin and like their clothes are different.
It makes sense they would all be very
signified.
white. They don't have any way of not being white.
It's a whole. Who even knows living underground if you could live like that?
I like they do mention like because it's like, well, what do they eat? What do they farm? Bugs. Okay, I guess that makes sense. But like even at how deep they are, I'm like, are they special bugs? Like, what does that work? How does that go?
It's not clear to us how deep she is, because when
she fell down a bottomless pit.
Once my Australia
there's
theories,
a bottom though.
I thought that I was level setting with Australia for about 10 minutes.
Okay.
So once it became 10 seconds, I don't know. Once it became clear that wasn't it, now I'm not even sure how far down she even is. Maybe the Atlanteans have had to dig up to get more resources slowly over time.
I would imagine they can't be that deep because it's still not. It's not. She doesn't ever go, it's burning hot. Oh, I'm dying here.
You actually can't, and there's a bunch of reasons, and it's stupid. But in a movie, you can go to the center of the earth and hang out there. You float. But
I thought, as far as center of the earth things go, like there's no bullshit. Oh, there's a small sun trapped on the inside, and that's our sun, and whatever. You're like, what? Like this all? I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of like that, like the methane, the lights, and this and that. It worked.
To your point, which I said the same thing in my notes, is like one of the earliest shots when he's like, "What do you mean? This is Atlantean City." It like pans up or like cuts to like a pan shot where I'm like, this might be literally where they filmed Super Mario Brothers. This is like a concrete fucking with the streets and the people milling about. It looks I'm like, this is amazing. This is so.
It was back when you could just go to like a fucking construction site yard thing and just film in it, and there's like 1,000 extras in there.
It's great.
This is back when you didn't have digital bullshit. You didn't like, oh, can you guys clump together and make it look like they have 1,000 people all in like Atlantean bullshit
like
garb.
bags and stuff and different things. Yeah.
And they're watching like a fight, and this is again where I'm still under the presumption that like, okay, she's a big boned girl.
I didn't even mean the arena, but yes, exactly.
She's gonna get put in that arena, and she's gonna beat them all because she's twice as dense as them or something, which should be the opposite, I think.
That still would have been so awesome.
Yeah.
If because they even have that term for it, which again I just thought was Australian, where it's like she's big boned or whatever, and everyone keeps saying, look at the size of her bones.
I never said I wasn't interested. I could always use another dark girl with big bones.
get the big boned broad out of here. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what? Because it's so
they didn't hire
confusing.
anybody else to be short. Like in my whole watching the movie, I never once went, she's tall. Like
No, if both of the leading men were like 5'2", and that's why you've never seen them before, that would have been genius. If they're like, wow, what's going? All right, and she's like,
Everyone in
what?
the movie is filmed on their knees the whole time.
Yes.
I would have loved that.
Now we're talking.
It would have made it a lot easier to for it to make sense.
Yeah.
But
of
whatever.
her like standing out,
Yeah, exactly.
meeting someone else who's big, who's like, leave me alone. Some weird, like, you could do all these interesting things with that. It's so stupid. Yes. No, it's like underdeveloped. I think they said, like, we have this old script, it doesn't really fit, but but Kathy Ireland wants to get into acting. Let's do this. And they went, right?
There were other things that I think that they actually did, they could have used better to really tighten up the whole script. Like, she lost her glasses and can't see, and then later on you have her put her head into a make you pretty machine.
Please step on pedal provided.
And I'm like, it didn't do anything to her.
Okay,
she looked
good.
exactly the same.
Thank you.
But like, it says like, did all we can. Like she's fucking some chud, and it can't even do it. It only throws shade.
There were also a few fleeting moments where I thought we were in that episode of The Twilight Zone where her being like like an all-time dime makes her ugly down there or something. But then like that's not true because only that one. It's her name is Shank, I think. The little like I can help you. Come over here.
I thought that was Helena Bottom Carter.
It is Helena Bonham
Is
Carter.
it?
Not literally, but that's the role she plays in everything.
Because I thought that was her for a while, and then it like got finally a little bit of light on her. I was like, oh, it's not her.
I think
maybe she's really young.
I think that's the same actor who plays the general with the eye patch.
I, for one, do not want to be reclassified as a troll.
Which makes it extremely confusing.
Is that so?
I saw something in the credits where I'm like, is this possible? Huh. Also, Aunt Purdy, like there's a little Wizard of Oz. I don't know if you picked up on this.
Well,
there's a few. The mailman.
Oh, excuse me. Wanda Saknussemm?
Yeah. I'm Wanda Saknussemm.
Special delivery from Africa.
Is one of the high elves who runs the city.
We are not murderers. We cannot let them die.
And the Aunt Purdy is the girlfriend.
I got angry when I thought they were going to be legitimately pulling one of those on me, and then they didn't. So I was like, that's a weird thing to do, to have a joke that lasts for 1 second and then immediately gets pulled back to say, oh no, that's not what it is.
But it's so strange to use this, like multiple of the same actors, right?
Well, I wonder just how much of that is maybe they had options for endings and that was one of them, like, oh, we will do the Wizard of Oz thing.
Yeah.
Or if it's like, we're in the backwoods of Australia. There's not a lot of actors.
No, and like that's an acceptable answer, but because it already feels like Wizard of Oz, it's so strange to do a Wizard of Oz tease.
Well, to pull back to where I'm like, I don't know how it ended. Yeah. So her being there, I'm like, why is she in Africa? And then I'm like, they're not in Africa. What the fuck just happened?
Bye, Wanda. We'll miss you.
Because you see the balloon they wrote up in there. So it doesn't make any sense.
Because that means Aunt Purdy went to Africa.
But that was her room. She was in her room.
And I ended up in this city called Atlantis. I found Dad. Pretty weird, huh?
Her room also looks like a prison or like a dungeon. Like when she's like in there for a moment, like kind of saying goodbye to it before she goes to Africa. Conduits and how everything. I'm like, where do you sleep? What is this room?
There's multiple, especially in the beginning there. Mm-hmm. There's a cut. She like gets the letter. My dad's dead.
My father's dead.
Yeah. And then there's a weird cut where like music swells and she's just outside.
It says he fell down a bottomless pit.
Talking to someone else about the letter she just got. Do you remember this moment?
Yes. Well, it started slightly before that for me. When the guy who's like weirdly squirting like ketchup or something like that is like, what's wrong?
What's the matter?
What's going on? Yeah, exactly. She's like, oh, it's my dad. But like, that's something you do when you're like, oh shit, like she's supposed to start crying and run out, and then the other waitress is supposed to be like, oh hell, now I need her to come back and let me go, and like chase after her, and then you just cut to them outside talking about the letter. You can't just have the music swell and have her go, oh no, and then just cut to them outside.
There's a lot of artistic choices in cuts. There's one where it's like a wipe happens.
Is that really your voice? Come on.
My father was about to kill me, and then
Yeah.
Her getting in the plane, it's like the cool old like metal sheet plane.
Yeah.
But cuts to her face like like there's a lot of those like really snappy, like odd kind of cuts.
I wrote down a few where I'm kind of like, I'm not sure what, because some of it is like, that's something you do like as a joke for fun. You wouldn't do this in your movie on purpose.
Well, it is a kind of a corny movie.
Yeah.
But I also wonder, at the time, we were just making weird fucking shit. So it wasn't corny then. It was just a movie.
it was just normal then.
Yeah.
Well, no, there's something to be said for that. We've kind of talked about things like that. We're at a certain point in our I almost said in our nation's history. In like the history of the human civilization, we've collectively figured out what a certain type of movie is supposed to look like, and if you're before that time period, you might just be wild and just out there and all that stuff.
That's what the 80s is beautiful.
Yeah.
Something leading into I thought she was going to be a badass was she falls a lot, and like every time's like 10 feet, 20 feet. 30 feet down the stairs, just like dusts herself off, looks at a picture. Like she's like totally fine. I'm like, oh, she's like a roller derby chick in a nerd's body or something. Like something's gonna come of this. Not really.
That's my main. So the other movie that I was thinking about was Labyrinth or whatever.
Sure.
But only because I'm sexist. Because
you thought it was Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah, because I can't tell them apart. Because I have face blindness and that's a disability. And thank you, because I get to sue you now.
I'm actually you.
Well, I can't tell who to sue because I know what it looks like. No, like specifically Labyrinth because it's also from like a long time ago, and
David Bowie's in both.
David Bowie is the bad guy in both.
No one's going anywhere. You blew the deal when you tried to escape.
He gets punched, and someone is like, "Bitchin' left hook."
I do love when the woman gets punched by that guy. Yeah.
You saw nothing.
He's like, go! Anyway, no, the point with Labyrinth, though, is that she makes friends. The friends are, it turns out are there for a reason sometimes. She solves puzzles. She makes decisions. She's engaged in a complex game of cat and mouse where the bad guys can't just, clap her. They have to like, oh, let's change the direction of this thing, right? It's really interesting, and you are shown the world as she is shown it. Friends become enemies, enemies become friends, right? In here, it's just like stuff happens to her until they leave, and she doesn't really any of the things.
Perhaps Madam would like to look at some troll leisure wear. Extra large, I think.
Which is like, oh, damsel in distress or whatever, but I mean, she kind of does none of the things.
Yeah, there's no accidentally inciting change for the whole Atlantean civilization. There's no real.
But like, she doesn't even like, I like pretended to seduce the guy and I stole the key. We need that key for the Hubajube, right? No, like it's like the old Indiana Jones joke where it's like, well, they could have just sat in a room for 14 hours and they would have ended the same. And it's like, that's
she
upsetting.
just happened to find the two leading men, like action hero types that would lay down their life for a stranger.
But she would have talked to anyone, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So she could have randomly met a person.
When she ran to that the second guy that does that.
Could you please help me out? I know it's a lot to ask.
I told you, I'm busy.
Please? I'm really in trouble.
I almost was like, oh, was there a problem? Did they lose the first lead and this guy is filling in for that guy?
Or does Kathy Ireland release pheromones that just seduce everyone?
Like bonkers to me that this dude was like helping her in the way he was. The first part of it, you're like, oh, that guy bumped me. Oh, he's picking on others like slaves or whatever. I'm gonna get this guy. But then like the way that he follows her and then comes to Earth for her, you're like, what?
A different time, a different place.
Another time. Another place.
No, it feels like because they are literally mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
There's not even a scene where we have a fun thing where like, and I think they implied that there's faso-changeometrons, so couldn't he have just been like, wink, it's Jeff, it's the guy, and just smooth it over that way? I don't know what's going on.
It's right, and those two leading men never even meet each other.
That's what I mean by mutually exclusive. They're never like, even if they're in a scene together.
Oh, I thought you meant like mutually exclusive to the plot of the movie. Like they're not even something that like, oh, well, this ties into that.
No,
They're
no.
both just arbitrarily in every way involved.
Like one guy leaves for a while and the other guy comes in.
Yes.
Then that guy leaves, this guy comes in, then he's gone, then for the last minute you get the other guy. Like they're never together, so they could have been one character, to your point. And that is with canon especially, that's a valid theory of something that happened. Just get another guy. He's close enough. Fuck him.
I'm not really a troll.
Yeah, right. Neither am I.
I was actually surprised
better,
it wasn't a guy, just like two guys playing the same
That would've
part
been better,
accidentally.
actually.
Like that's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
I thought was going to happen. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, he fell out of the production. No, walked off a building. I have
Just
no
got
idea.
to a scene of him doing this, but it's like already halfway off. And
Yeah,
he's like,
yeah.
haha, it was Gus all along.
Oh, LL Cool J.
But they literally, some of this stuff is honestly pathetic, and if I wasn't so charmed, I would have been harsher.
Yeah.
Which I will be now, because he sees her. It's like she's now been arrested for the crime of being so hot.
She like waves.
Yeah, she just drives by. He's just like fixing his car or whatever. And he's like, oh, mine is fucking thing, whatever. Oh, and I think the other guy says, where's the chick? And he's like, I don't know. Oh, there she is. And then they just, and that's how he gets back in the movie. She just drives right by him. It's insane. And it's not played like, oh, it's played like more serious.
What is far more insane to me is like the rescuing, like grabs her. Who's that? My father. Okay, come with me. And they just run away.
No, he's my dad.
They get to the next room, which must be just through a doorway. And he's like, all right, you guys wait here. I'll go check for something. And I'm like, is no one pursuing them at all?
Yeah.
They didn't even like shut a door. They literally just walked 6 feet. Like they could have been in the same room, but just been over there. Like,
they have high movement. No,
I'm over there.
No, there's the scene that I mentioned earlier where someone takes her picture.
Yeah.
Like it then cuts to the government like there's a dangerous fugitive on the loose.
Yeah.
And then cuts back, but you're like, no, she's being chased now already.
Yep.
The guy who took her picture was chasing her. And the picture's like from this far away. Like she should still be running from that guy.
Come on, where? Come on. Hey, stop!
But no, now she's just watching the news being like, oh, my picture. And then you're like, I guess time passed?
That's why
I don't know.
she needed to be incredibly Hulk strong.
Yes.
Because it would have explained a lot of these
Would have
things.
been fun, too.
Like, oh, they're chasing me. And it's like fucking bowling pins. They all fall down and she just gets away.
And like,
she pushes like a cabinet in front of a door and there he's fine.
And her whole like supposedly nerdy persona character. She's like, I'm sorry. And he's like, no, you're doing great, love. Don't worry about it. And she's like, oh, and like breaking stuff and someone goes to like destroy her and just cracks on her and she's like, did I break your chair? Like everything is just fine.
Like she yells at one point and it disables a person.
Gotcha.
And I was like,
what?
Yeah, you don't remember this?
No, what are you talking about?
Someone like grabs her and she yells and they're like, ah! And like they fall.
Does she have magic powers?
I wanted so hard for there to be something about being from Earth. Or, you know, they're all from Earth. Being from the surface gave her some innate ability to beat people that are like, she shined a light at me. Like, I don't know anything.
That would explain, too, part of why some of the people in government are so dead set against them having contact. Mm-hmm. That would even explain the one person's assumption that the Atlanteans would be the subservient slave race because they're inferior in some like way or whatever, right? Nice little. That's what this. If you did another pass and you like developed this more, that would be the whole like thing. So if we're gonna talk about the screenplay, my biggest issues are the bookends.
Okay.
In the beginning and the end, because like we've been saying the whole time, her boyfriend like just lays into her. He's negging her.
There's only 2 weeks left in August, and I want to salvage something. All right?
Robbie, please. Let's talk about it.
Your glasses are stupid, your hair sucks, you're gross, you blah, blah, and shit's all over her. Meanwhile, she's Kathy Ireland, and I'm like, well, she's already, okay, I guess she's not wearing that much makeup, and like, she has glasses. And that, and that means you're like ugly, but...
it doesn't matter. You changed.
To me, it was one of the worst jobs of making someone ugly, because I'm like, you're already very attractive.
Sure.
Whatever.
I think it's important to address, like, if you would have just harped on the voice, your voice is killing me.
Exactly.
I can't do it. And we see him at the other end of the bookend with another very attractive lady.
Including me, including Susan Stacy.
Yep.
So you're like, okay, he's not no slouch in the women department. You can see he's pulling models left and right.
Right. The joke is not that he has some weird, or he has weirdly high standards, but it's working for him.
Yes,
right? If he does, whatever, it's fine. That's fine. And then she's crying like, oh, I'm gonna. So like I said earlier, oh, this is an obvious glow up movie. She's gonna learn on this journey how to be awesome, or she doesn't know how hot she is, and that's gonna come into play. And then she's gonna be. And guess what? They do that, even though nothing in the movie like builds that up, right?
For no reason
at all. At the end, she has no glasses.
But Robbie, I still have the same hair, same voice.
Her hair is like wavy and like slicked in like a certain way, and she's wearing like just a bikini top instead of like a one piece, and she's like, oh, I'm so hot, what's going on? It's like there's like sea foam spray, like spraying behind her, and he's like, hubba, oh, I made the wrong decision. Oh, babe, I'm Australian now too, what's going on? Right? And he's like coming up to her. It's so weird because nothing in the I can't stress this enough. It's not that movie. She doesn't learn anything. She doesn't change or grow.
Well,
nothing
and it's
happens,
not
right?
months, years, whatever later. It's still at the most. It's been 2 weeks because it's still in that summer vacation thing. And so our other guy had to have got out, found her, got a motorcycle, learned how to drive it.
Excuse me. I was wondering if you could help me out. I'm a stranger around here.
Found a tire that fits himself.
The alien
like,
part. I haven't even gotten to the fact that the alien guy shows up.
Yeah.
But yes, no. What happens is he crawls out because he's not wearing the rope anymore, and then he just calls Alfred, and he's like, "I got that secret money. I need a plane chartered." But we don't have to see that. That's off camera.
Sure.
It's not a plot hole. It's just off camera. No. Yes, it's a huge mess where it seems like they just threw some stuff together, but not in a fun way. At the end of Labyrinth, all of the goofy puppets are just in her bedroom.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, how does that work? Is that possible? Wait, what the fuck? Oh, movie's over. It's fine.
What it should have been
Fine.
is she just meets a guy. He's not the same one, but it's played by the same person. She's like, oh, hi. And now she's talking to some guy because she thinks she has this connection to him, or at least he reminds her of somebody. But having him be the same guy is so dumb.
No, there needed to be something, and it doesn't have to be a makeover movie. It could have been anything.
Yeah.
She could have changed. Like she's like a pushover, right? Oh bother! No one likes me. I can't do anything, right? The other chick even says, oh, she grew up while she was in Africa, I guess.
Yeah.
Like like it's night and day.
It was a powerful 3 days, you see.
But they didn't establish enough of like what her thing was, and then what solves it, and what she is now. But like I don't know. It just it left me with this feeling
it's
of
lacking.
like, oh,
For
everything's
something
fake.
that does
It
so many
sucks.
things so well, to drop the parts that don't cost you anything money, like it's just.
And when you say drop the parts, I'm on board. Intro text crawl. She's going to rescue her dad. Just cut all that part out. Be like, fuck it, because it feels so rushed and weird. And the whole I'm a waitress and I'm trying to be Malibu person. And blah, 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 blah. Also, again, the like makeover machine that she finds in Atlantis
doesn't do anything.
Did it change her eye color?
I did not notice a single thing change.
Did it just clean up her did it just clean the dirt off her face?
The Delco 1000 has done all it can. Thank you. Step aside.
Hey, you look really nice.
I did not notice it do a single thing.
I don't think it did a single thing. And there's close-ups of her right after, and I didn't go back, and maybe we can go check.
We're gonna.
It seems like it did nothing to her, though.
Yeah, I wanted at the very least it to be like, I can see, like anything.
Exactly.
Fuck 'em.
Wait, I'm gonna be sick.
So things that like just to shout out that like either reminded me of things or I thought were cool, like weird spinning chair room thing is kind of like low budget Matrix, but like gigantic. And you're like, what is that?
It's like the King of Atlantis is like, I'm gonna talk to you, but I'm gonna keep spinning.
Yeah.
And then he's like, say hello to my weird dolphin in like a tank who hacks stuff for me.
You see,
like,
what
it has
is
a really
he's
weird
actually at the direct center of the Earth, and he has to rotate.
Like gravity. Yeah, exactly.
I liked the weird gas station attendant that looked like the thing from Big that would give you your fortune, but displays gas. I was like, that's cool.
Was that like that? That's a human, but is it meant to be like a robot?
Oh, I thought it was supposed to be a robot.
Yeah. Well, I hoped so, but I thought it's even weirder if it's not. But whatever. Either way,
I think it's a robot.
Either way, it's like a wild element that's not addressed, and I love that when that happens in a movie.
I really enjoyed. There's like just a head on a screen type of thing that's like on the thing.
Representative spokesman denied all gossip. In other news today, many babies were suddenly born in Z sector.
And if you've ever watched Red Dwarf, I don't know that it is the same guy who's the head on the screen in that, but it looks a lot like him.
They're all dead. Everybody's dead, Dave.
No. So I feel like they're at the very least going for that.
No, it was
and that's a British show. This is Australian, so they have the same whatever.
No, and that's the weird like Big Brother. We're constantly broadcasting. There's a lot of fucking like the same messages that are apparently in everything that everyone's missed for some reason. Where it's like GovCo is like we are your government we are your government corporation type of thing, and it's all managed by them, and they're lying and all the other stuff.
Remember, citizens, any suspicious visitors to Atlanta should be reported to Government House. Failure to incriminate is punishable.
There's like the really short gang leader who may or may not be an Oompa Loompa.
Oh shit, with the eyelashes.
I don't know. I don't trust Shaq. I have to hide the girl somewhere.
That guy reminds me of Mr. Bean had a kid with Beetlejuice.
400 shining ones.
400 shining ones.
Don't push your luck, Shaq.
Like, it's this whole thing. And then, yes, his eyelashes, like, go like cages for his eyeballs.
Big confidence from an alien who walks like a troll, dresses like a worm.
Like, really weird. But he, I think, is the height that everyone should be.
No, I think he's like, he might be a famous little person.
I think he
I've
is.
seen him before.
I think he's the Oompa Loompa from the Johnny Depp one.
Because the scoop will not be harmed. Because the scoop will not be harmed.
Well, I think he plays all the parts. I think he's that guy.
He's that guy?
I think so.
Well, that guy was pretty old, I guess. That's interesting. It could be. Yeah.
I think so. I could be wrong.
He looked familiar.
He's in a lot of makeup, so it's hard to say.
He looked familiar. I thought I'd seen him before. It's totally possible that was where it was from. I didn't see that movie. He's probably been in other stuff. But yeah, he is distinct. He's like a crime boss looking guy. And I love, again, he's the only one that has that going on. With his face, so it's like a custom.
I think it's like, I'm rich, I have fake eyelashes. Look how fucking fake they are.
Look at how whatever. Look at how
I'm so extravagant,
unwieldy this is, and crazy this is. He gets killed. What happens to him? He gets popped like a grape.
I think I don't know. Can't remember. Thrown off a cliff. Nothing. I don't know.
Lying sack of crap.
There's a matte painting that's pretty cool when they like reveal the building spaceship thing. I like that. They show it more than once.
Yeah, there's a nice little matte painting too. It's nice for me just that it was a matte painting. When it has the little like Blade Runner like flame jets going, but it's when she like goes to like the next cave and she's like, wowzers, and like you finally see everything and there's little doozers driving. No, but it's a nice I'm like, okay, cool. You did something. You didn't just say,
there's many moments that make me go, whoa, you did something.
You
like,
did
incredible.
Something. Exactly. This is a you did something movie.
My father's dead. Says he fell down a bottomless pit.
There's a part where she falls asleep, just like mid-sentence, like she's a toddler.
I would have given anything to see him again.
And I'm like, what the fuck? She's like at her dad's house. And like the random guy who like we never see again is like, all right, good night, child. And she's just like asleep on the couch.
That guy too is like, I go down there every day and look for him.
Yeah,
it's like,
what does that mean?
We keep the pit lit. I go down there every day, look for him. But it all seems so unlikely.
It's like a large elevator and then a bottomless pit. It's like a tiny room. It's like a little mud room in a room. It's great. That's hilarious.
It was so strange to me that it was his basement in general. Like every movie does this, where like whatever their tunnel to something is always in the basement.
He says like, oh, his work's down in the basement. Just go check. And you expect like, oh, interesting.
You expect like a Charlie Kelly thing where it's like Pepe Sylvia, but no, it's the actual Atlantis.
That's where he is digging. It's not like where his scrolls are and his like maps or whatever. No. And she goes down the ladder. It's like the Goonies. She like falls a little and there's like knickknacks everywhere. The Garbage Pail Kids are in the corner like, let me out. It's crazy.
The interesting thing I read, the only thing that really stood out to me in the IMDb thing was that there's a movie called Journey to the Center of the Earth that came out the exact same year as this. And they said, like, it is a soft sequel to this movie. And it says it has 50 minutes of the movie in it. And I was like, 50 minutes that you didn't use, new, something? Did I read it wrong?
We must find this movie.
I own it.
What?
Yeah. It had a cool cover, and I bought it years ago, and I never watched it.
Either way, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It was canon the same thing. I saw some other YouTube thing where they were talking about a movie that was like reconstructed out of a movie and then clips from other movies. It might have been canon, or it might have been one of those guys.
There's a lot of full moon ones that are like that.
Yeah, it was one. It was some, but they kept saying like the name. I don't know if it was canon, but that's hilarious. If you took 50 minutes of this hour and 20-something minute movie and then made it into a different movie, like I am literally, I'm about to act up. That's amazing.
Or is it? Or I might be misremembering. It might have been, or it's 50 minutes of what would have been the sequel became that movie. Yeah. There's something related to this movie's either franchise, IP, life, whatever that is in that movie, and we'll watch it.
I was saying that I'm already fiending for the consolation prize.
Sure.
If it's the same footage, if it's different footage, well, that's a whole different situation.
No, we'll check it out.
Oh my God! Sure. Imagine. Oh, is anybody returning?
No.
Oh.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments below what you thought about it. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next time.
If you want to support the show, head over to cannibalvideo.com, pick up some merch.
And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button.
That's all right.
Yeah, that's something.
Whatever.
Fuck these motherfuckers.
Your lordship, you cannot possibly listen to Crassus. You know he's got those odd tendencies.
Cannibal Video has everything you need. A wide array of VHS and DVDs. We ate the competition.